I'm here at the newly created, newly defined hotel park in West Bay, Doha. You could say this is where it all started for Qatar. The building you're about to see, the Sheraton Hotel, Doha, was built in 1980. If you go back to, if you're interested, if you Google Doha, you'll discover that this was the one and only building in Doha. The rest was desert in 1990. This was built and opened in 1980 at a cost of roughly £100 million, subsidised by the Qatari government at the time. It was built as a conference facility for the Arab countries to come together, and they held various conferences and things. Today it boasts about 370 odd rooms, Michelin star restaurants. It's probably a 5-6 star minimum. It's about as luxurious as it gets in Doha. And then as we go around, you'll see how the whole place is transformed now into skyscrapers, lots of different buildings, designs, features. This is the postcard view of the Qatar Doha skyline that you see from across the MIA Park, which is the Museum of Islamic Art Park, and you see that view across the water of all of these buildings. While you're looking at a side angle of these buildings, I'll get a longer shot from MIA later. It's roughly 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I've just spent a couple of hours with some friends at the Sheraton having something to eat, so I'm going to walk it off. And the way I'm going to do that is by sharing with you the 6.5 kilometer Corniche walk along the Arabian Sea. Most of it's been transformed into the FIFA fan boulevard, and the boulevard has been hosting entertainment, concerts, of course showing the games live as well, and an opportunity for people to come out with their friends, with their families, and just enjoy the entire atmosphere, the carnival atmosphere that Qatar's managed to create in the middle of the desert. It is a remarkable transformation, and credit to the organisers for doing what is a remarkable job of turning this desert, tiny desert country into a green oasis, and having the balls, excuse the pun, to organise the greatest football show on earth. It's ruffled a few feathers. You'll have picked up from the media that certainly our UK and Western media hasn't been particularly complimentary. So during this walk, I'm going to highlight some of these issues and expose, as I have in other videos, the lies, the double standards, the hypocrisy, the bigotry, and the downright racism that has been the target. Doha, Qatar, has been the target of many, and it comes down to, and again, this is my view, but this view has been shared by just about everybody that's come out here, that it's so much of it is down to blatant racism and envy and bigotry. Envy because some people can't stomach the fact that a tiny nation of 2.6 million people, with the the size of Birmingham, has been able to put on such a fantastic show to date. So I'll touch on some of these things, and I've done so already on some of the other videos, but the lies that have been told about Qatar World Cup 2022 has been well and truly exposed. And the mainstream media in particular, certain parts of the mainstream media have been shown to be what they are. We've known this for a long time anyway, that they have a habit of bending the truth to the point. But luckily, social media and the people that have come out here have shown Doha for what it really is, and shown the true side of Doha, and the organisation and the effort, the quality and standard, and everything that has been done to showcase this tiny country to the world. They have succeeded, while the mainstream media has, spectacularly European media especially, has totally failed. Qatar, as I said, is home to 2.6 million people. 12% of those are Qataris, Arabs. The rest, some 88%, are foreigners, migrants, workers, expats. That in itself should tell you exactly what sort of a nation this is. A very hospitable, welcoming country. A country that has absorbed people, cultures, customs, and encouraged these people to play a part in the development of their country. And a country that up until 1971 was under British rule, let's not forget. What virtues and values did we bring and leave here? Very few. The Qataris have managed to blend their values and cultures and modernize their country into a state-of-the-art, forward-thinking country which is embracing the future without forgetting its past culture, its religion, steeped in Islam, but the flexibility of everybody that's coming here being able to live their life within some broad rules and regulations, but actually with the freedom to exercise and practice their cultures, customs, religions and traditions. In other videos I have touched on the subject of migrant workers and the treatment of migrant workers and the need for the Qataris to do a lot more. But actually what they have done and the support and the facilities and the opportunities migrant workers get here is proportionately very, very high compared to other countries. Namely, I've mentioned places like Australia. Australia made a lot during this World Cup about how they care about migrants, at the same time housing thousands of migrants in a remote Pacific island. Australia, the same Australia that armed the Burmese junta to kill and displace thousands and hundreds of thousands of Rohingya from Burma. This is the same Australia who up until 4 years ago legalized their pet subject of gay marriage. Yep. And they had the gall to criticize Qatar. Not saying that Qatar doesn't have problems by any means. Absolutely it does. There are lots of things that it needs to do and a long way to go on many things, but you have to practice what you preach. And a lot of our Western countries have exposed themselves for the double standards they have demonstrated, the hypocrisy they have demonstrated, the bigotry they have demonstrated, and the blatant racism they have shown. Have all been exposed, and the world has come to see Qatar for what it really is, and it does not bear any resemblance to the messages that they have seen and heard before they came. And a lot of them I have spoken to over the last few days have said, had we not come, we would not have known. The Qatar that was presented to us at home would be the Qatar and the image that we would have etched in our minds forever. But having come here now, those myths have been busted, those lies have been exposed, and they have seen for themselves exactly what Qatar has to offer and what a great place it is, and how the world has come together in a carnival atmosphere to celebrate football in this football mad nation here in the Middle East and across North Africa. I'm not here to speak for the Qataris or the Qatari government or the organisers of this tournament. I'm here simply to present to you, and I said before coming out here that the Qatar that I know, the Qatar that I have seen previously, and the Qatar that it aspires to be, is very different from the Qatar that we've been presented to at home in the UK and across Europe. So when I go out there, I'm going to try and present to people, the audience, my friends, my family, the people that I socialise with, work with, exactly what this tiny nation is like and the efforts that it's gone to make this World Cup a truly spectacular occasion, not just for Qatar, for the Middle East, for Africa, for Asia, for every nation that is represented here by the 88% migrant communities that live and work and call Doha their home. And it's 3 o'clock. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. And people have been involved in all sorts of activities throughout the day. There you can see the Sheraton in the background. This park has been labelled as some sort of Saudi fan base. So it looks like everybody that's here is Saudi, or maybe Saudi house. But it's just across the road from the Sheraton, from city centre. There's food here, there's live music here, there's a band, there's a Saudi band singing nasheeds. There are families here with children against the backdrop of the business district. There's some lovely food there. I've already eaten. I'm trying to walk off what I've already eaten, so I'll have to resist the temptation. But this is typical of what's been happening in and around all of Doha over the last 3 weeks. There are people picking up litter literally as people drop it. Not that anybody is dropping it, because people are very respectful of the fact that everything's being kept clean for them. There is security here around the clock. And for those who might be wondering, they've gone to a lot of trouble during this World Cup to present this safe, secure, clean environment. Actually, this is not far from what it's really like during the rest of the year and before the games, and no doubt it will remain like this after the games. So yes, there is a lot of World Cup FIFA branding, of course there is, because we've got the games on, but actually I have walked through these parts, I have walked through these parks, and I have seen, even at this early time in the morning, how safe and secure it is to to walk about by yourself, with your families, with your friends. A lot of people actually like to come out, jog, exercise, train, all sorts of things. So this is not, yes, some of it of course, but this is not, on the whole, everything that you see here, everything that is here, is actually here all year round, and will be long after the World Cup. And the legacy is that whilst a lot of these buildings, as they were being built, a lot of these areas were disconnected, there was no placemaking as such, but as it's developed slowly, they've managed to connect all the different bits together to create walkable, livable spaces that you can navigate during the height of summer without feeling like you couldn't step out, or you know, die from sunstroke or whatever. It's actually very, very well connected, very green and very accessible, and that's taken time. It's taken time to do, and there is still a lot more to do. Some things never change. We've got big brands that you find everywhere these days. There's no getting away from them. So here we are. We are going to start this walk, and roughly from this point to where I want to get to, it's about now going to be about 5.5 kilometers. You see in the distance there, in the tiny golden, that's, I've mentioned in a previous message yesterday, that's the Souk Mosque. That's the heart of old Doha, and basically this walk takes us all the way there, and when I get there I will terminate. But this is effectively how far, it's a crescent basically. It's very, very pleasant walk, and no matter what time of the day, what season it is, because you've got a constant breeze coming from the Arabian Gulf, it dampens the heat and it softens the heat, and you do get a, it is still hot, don't get me wrong, 40-45 degrees is very, very hot, but the best time to come out, if you do come out in Doha, is after sunset, where you will enjoy a great walk. It really is a fantastic walk. And you see in the shadows of this orange building is the Burj Doha. Some people call it the sausage, others have much more creative labels for it, but I'll just refer it to it as Burj Doha and the sausage building, because that's what it looks like. So again, it's very, very lively, and the reason for that is because people are still out and about. They've been out to the various shows, various fan events, and I've mentioned in my videos many times about the FIFA official licensed product stores. If you haven't been fleeced already, then they encourage you every few yards to dig deep in your pockets and empty the rest out. But yeah, it's a very carnival atmosphere here, very family friendly, very, very family friendly. And you're seeing children now who should be in bed now, irresponsible parents, some of these, but it's holiday. They're enjoying a one-off lifetime event, and there's lots of pop-up stores that are selling all sorts of local things, perfumes. I don't know what this guy's selling. Bits and pieces that you can find in the market for about a fraction of the price, as I've said repeatedly in lots of my videos already. But it's too late for some of these people, because they're not venturing out to all these different places. They're looking at the first shop and they're thinking, I better get it from here, otherwise there is I may not get it again. So there we are, displays, Looks like a Formula 1 car of some sort. I'm not going to go close to that, I've got a long walk. But just to give you a flavour of what is happening here, all of these families you see, they've literally come out of the various fan festival events, hence why they're out and about. They will either live nearby or they're tourists like me who want to capture this place, and there aren't literally hundreds of thousands of people. I just want to give you a tour and just explain what we have here. When you get here yourself, you will discover a lot more, I'm sure. But for now, so I'm looking back now at old Doha, the souk and the mosque, and it's roughly 4 kilometers from where I am now. We're just going to follow this, and you see again just to my right, this bit is not as well lit, but to my right where you got the Fan Boulevard, I'll go in there in a minute. I just wanted to show you how, and just in the background there you see some of these boats, very, very famous pearl fisherman boats, does they're called. Very, very common around here. Not as much now, not as many here now for the World Cup, I think, but normally there are hundreds of them, and they basically give you a tour from this end of West Bay all the way to the other end at the MIA, the Islamic Museum of Islamic Art, and that's probably an hour's worth of slow, gentle floating. Costs about 50 riyals off peak, probably about 500 now, but that's big event inflation for you. Lots of music. So I'm gonna come off the Corniche slightly, and I'll go into the Fan Boulevard because it starts about here, and to give you a glimpse of all the things that are going on. Most of it's been going on all day, right from the morning throughout the night, and here we are, our sausage building again, and of course the thing to remember is it's very, very late or early in the morning, whichever way you prefer, and also it's a non-match day, so it's a rest day from the football, so everybody is absolutely shattered from running around trying to get to the matches or watch the matches, and tonight it's just a bit of relaxation time for everybody to enjoy with their families. Street art, entertainment, people doing everything they can to try and entertain us. But you can see very well lit. Proportion of men, women, families, children is noticeable, and very much a family event. My apologies, so I have to make clear that when I've been referring to the time, I have in fact been referring to a different time zone on my watch. It's actually 10 o'clock UK time. It's 10 o'clock UK time. See more sun hats that people have been. Looks like there's a bit of a market here where people are selling bits and pieces. I suspect on a match day, well, this leads to the fan zone proper. This place is heaving with tourists, and of course we've got to remember that we're in the final week of the World Cup, of course, and lots of people have already gone home. There's a guy selling flags, all trying to earn their keep. It's a great comfortable walk. There aren't too many people here at this time of the night. Just enjoying sampling some of the artwork people have done, showcasing their talents. which is great to see. And of course you got these half balls shaped bubbles representing all the teams that are participating in this World Cup. So let's make some progress and let's touch on some of the hypocrisy and the double standards, the bigotry and racism that has been shown towards Qatar from none other than our own BBC. Now the BBC, for me, I remember back at university, one of the questions that we got asked was, what is the one thing that comes to mind? What things come to mind when we think about the UK? And things like the Queen, things like all the touristy places, obvious places, and the BBC appeared in the top 5 list of things in a survey that people relate to as being very British. Sadly, the last 5 or 6 years, BBC's been anything but. It's become a political mouthpiece for certain lobby groups, and all we've had is presenters, newsreaders being exposed for their bias, whether it's left or right. Frankly, it's no longer neutral and it's no longer a trusted news source. So when Gary Lineker, who, let's not forget, was on the payroll of Al Jazeera TV. Al Jazeera, by the way, is the second largest news media outlet in the world, owned by Qataris. Gary basically came up with a whole load of tosh. Rather than showing us the opening ceremony of the greatest sporting event in the world, they pushed it to the red button somewhere, whilst they had some women's football match in the background with about 3,000 people watching. And then Gary went on a rant about caring for migrants, lesbians, gays, bisexuals, LGBTQRSTUVWYOY, and it was nauseating. There's some fellas doing some providing some entertainment. Sounds like snake charmers. I think I'll pass it, but they look like Yemenis. There we go, run over. Not for me, I haven't got a clue what they're saying. There is another makeshift merchandise stall selling some of the stuff that you get in the FIFA stores. As I said, there was a trickle of people, not as many. You couldn't walk through here during match days when everybody's out in force, but nonetheless, still a very pleasant walk in the shadows of Doha city centre and the skyscrapers. I'm going to go back on the Corniche walk and just touch on the BBC a little bit more. The BBC and their virtue signalling, and Gary Lineker. The travesty that the BBC, the single broadcaster in the United Kingdom, who had the rights for the opening ceremony, decided not to show it.